guest today is A.E. London. Anne has been traveling the world for decades doing paintings of endangered and threatened species. Anne, welcome to the show.
Thanks for inviting me. You know, most kids really love animals. That's kind of a natural thing for kids. When I was a kid, like so many other kids, I really wanted to be a veterinarian, and then my plans changed to be a zoologist. At some point along the line, I went from being horse crazy to lion crazy, and you know, the moment of that really was a movie. It was something in the arts that motivated me. It was the movie Born Free, and it was all about the true story of people having a lion and rehabilitating it, putting it back in the wild. I was so taken with this. I remember going to my mother the next day, looking up at the kitchen counter. She's doing something up at the sink, and I said, "Can you make me a lunch?" And she said, "It's the middle of summer, Anne. Why do you need a lunch?" And I remember saying, "Because I'm going to Africa today." I was really dedicated to the concept of doing something with animals. The art thing was sort of a side rail that I was on. And eventually one day, to be honest with you, I was in high school and I was offered a scholarship to go to art school, not to zoology school, which is really what I wanted. I've drawn my way around the world probably 10 times. You mean with this hand and a little piece of charcoal? I'm sure. Borneo, Africa many times. I've been up to the Arctic and parts of Central America, you know, the South Pacific, Indonesia, you know, looking for animals. But there's so much left to go see, you know, and be inspired by. You know, I have to say Africa probably is my first love, though. You know, the stuff they don't tell you about in art school. It's going to be a book this thick. I'm going to write it someday. The things I found out, like some of your models are carnivorous, and some of your models will be interested in perhaps tasting you. So I have had to learn to draw very fast. And that's been a good thing, because when you're in the field, when you're in the bush drawing fast is what you need. You need to be making gestural sketches in order to learn the anatomy and a sense of proportion and so forth. But truly, lions are the best enforcer of that I've ever come across. They should bring lions to art school. That would make all of us draw faster. Poaching in Africa is rampant, not only for trophies, but also lions for parts and pieces for the pseudo-medicinal market, ivory for elephants, rhinoceros horn. Terrorists are funding their evil deeds by killing these animals and selling all of that to markets in Asia. You know, we know about this. There was a huge outrage in America over Cecils being killed. And while on the one hand, it's heartening to know that people are upset by that, let me tell you, in Africa, they thought that we were a little crazy. They didn't understand what the whole hullabaloo was about, because they see this kind of thing all the time. My husband and I started a project a few years ago called Arts for Animals, where we go into poor schools in rural areas that are usually close by these national parks where a lot of ecotourism happens. We started Arts for Animals as a way of using art to open the conversation with children in Africa about ecotourism, poaching, better choices, stewardship. We're teaching them to draw. We bring them art supplies. We gave our first scholarship away. We opened our first art center at a school in Zimbabwe. We make these cards, which are, we produce. These are cards that the children design. And they're open cards for anybody to purchase and write a note in. On the back, they have a description of the project, the kids in the school. We give these to the people over there, and they raise money for their school using their creativity while addressing the concept of conservation, right? And they're happy to do it. And the Ministry of Education in Zimbabwe noticed at this one school, and they actually came and authorized a salary for a full-time arts educator at a school in Zimbabwe. We are expanding on the Arts for Animals project. We try to raise money not only for the schools that we service over there, but also to fund research projects in Africa and other places. We're not only about Africa. It's not just an African problem. It's a world problem. Africa's just the one most direly in need, I would say. We have elephants possibly being gone in 15 years. We've got to jump on that. But here in America, we have our own issues. We have several species right here that need our help. The awareness has to start. It's great that the public has that capability of pressuring people to do the right thing. I'd like to see that expand. I'd like to see that expand in big ways, in ivory, in legislation. I'd like to get people to harness their anger. Instead of wanting to sling somebody up because they killed a lion that wasn't supposed to be killed, do something about it. Call your representative. It's not hard.
Clearly, you're making an awesome wildlife effort to save vanishing species.
Well, thank you, Charles. It was an honor to be on your program. Charles, hey! Come here. Will I help you? Come in.
I think I'll stay
Oh
outside.
no, we're elephant friendly here.
These things really come in handy for a lot of
They
crazy
they
stuff.
really do.